Bob Willis will lead England into the defence of the Ashes, won so dramatically from Australia in this country 2 summers ago. It's now 100 years since a victorious England sailed back from Australia with the newly won Ashes. And those 100 years of intense Anglo-Australian rivalry have provided cricket with some of its finest and most controversial moments. There is no more eagerly awaited battle in cricket than the struggle for the Ashes. We look forward to it now with Christopher Martin-Jenkins, who's been digging into the past and recalls some of those memorable moments, none more extraordinary than the happenings in England the summer before last.
In the air and 6. In the air. And again. And that drew all of them into the trap. Now that was just about the best shot Botham's played today. In the air for 6.
Him over the rope, and the whole of Old Trafford rise into its feet to acclaim yet another memorable, magnificent performance from Ian Boycott.
Yes, he's out, caught it forward short leg by Mike Gadding, bat and pad, Whitney unhappy to go, but England have reclaimed the Ashes.
These are the Ashes, presented to the England captain, the Honourable Ivo Bligh, exactly 100 years ago. Precisely who presented it to Bligh and when, and precisely what is inside this little urn, is a matter for conjecture at the moment. But it's certain that a rich cricket history has built up around this intrinsically almost valueless little piece of pottery. It was in 1882 at the Oval that England really woke up to the challenge from the colony when Australia beat them by 7 runs. On a wet pitch, England, needing only 34 more second innings runs with 8 wickets in hand, collapsed. Boyle and the demon Spofforth were the destroyers. Fred Spofforth, the Lillee of his day, although a more gracious character, took 7 for 44. The Sporting Times marked this national disaster by publishing an obituary of English cricket. The body will be cremated, read the notice, and the Ashes taken to Australia. That winter, an English team set out by sea under the captaincy of Ivo Bligh, later Lord Darnley. They set out to recover the Ashes, and they did so, winning the official series 2-1, although England had to do without the services of their greatest player, the legendary W.G. Grace, who dominated cricket for a large part of his 43-year career. A true colossus, and, bar Gladstone, the most famous Englishman of his day. The game was to see nothing like Grace until 1928 marked the advent to Test cricket of a country boy from New South Wales, the 5'7" Don Bradman. He announced his staggering genius by scoring 974 runs in one 5-test series in 1930. He got at least a century in all but one of the 5 tests, including double hundreds at Lord's and the Oval. At Headingley, he scored 334 and 309 not out on the first day, 100 before lunch, another before tea, and just for luck, 1 before the close. Harold Larwood, England's fiercest bowler, had figures of 1 for 139. With Bradman in this form, no one thought England had much chance, but Douglas Jardine, England's captain 50 years ago, set himself with icy determination to clip the wings of the soaring Bradman. In Australia in 32-33, he had willing accomplices in the left-arm fast Bill Vose, and in particular the lithe Nottinghamshire miner Harold Larwood. They mixed their orthodox bowling attack with bodyline, fast short-pitched balls aimed at the batsman's chest with a cluster of short-leg fieldsmen. Larwood was superb. England won the series 4-1, and at home cinema audiences watched with fascination the movie-turned films of the series.
It was a tightly packed round that saw England take the field for Australia's first innings at Adelaide after having put 341 runs on the board themselves. There is an early shock for Australia when Fingleton is caught off the second ball of the match. It was at this point in the game that Woodfull was unfortunately struck on the heart by a ball from Larwood which got up. Larwood is faster today than ever, and this slow-motion study reveals his action very clearly and bowls to a leg trap to which Bradman falls a victim when he has only scored 8. None of the Australians seem able to deal with the leg theory bowling, with the exception of Ponsford, who is pulling the game round for his side. Oldfield is now his partner, but the English players are very distressed when he is struck on the head, Larwood again being the unlucky bowler. When Wall is bowled, the Australian innings closes for 222 runs, 119 behind England's total, and England eventually win one of the most sensational cricket matches ever played by 338 runs.
The moral aspects of Bodyline have attracted the director of the award-winning film Chariots of Fire, David Putnam, to make a major film about that series.
I'd wanted to do something involving cricket, I think probably since I saw the first test when I was a kid. It seemed to me a sport which had been underutilised and, by the way, badly used by the cinema. And it was a kind of sufficiently perverse thing to do, given the fact that films are not supposed to be able to make any money unless they work in America. It seemed an interesting, perverse exercise. So we developed it originally as a piece for television, and it kind of grew like Topsy.
Great names like Bradman and Larwood should make the film a winner for cricket-loving audiences. But cricket is a highly technical and esoteric game. How will its subtleties be explained to the Americans?
The film isn't really about cricket, it's about sport, first of all. It's about somebody throwing a quite heavy and hard leather ball at someone else's head. It happens to bounce on the wicket on the way through. So, I mean, the similarities in terms of violence to baseball are quite precise. We will never, I hope very much, we will never get into someone being out LBW or having to explain that, or having to explain any of the finer points of cricket at all. Fundamentally, it's a film about when's a rule, not a rule. What is sportsmanship? What isn't sportsmanship? When do the ends justify the means? And over all of this is politics. The fact that certainly even in 1932, politics were absolutely indivisible from sport.
From 1934 until the momentous coronation year of 1953, when Everest was conquered by Hillary and Tenzing under Sir John Hunt, Australia held on to the Ashes. England, under their professional captain from Yorkshire, Len Hutton, played an Australian team under the captaincy of Lindsay Hassett. There was little to choose between the sides, and the series was level when they met for the final test at the Oval. The young Fred Truman took 4 first-innings wickets, and England, with Hutton top-scoring with 82 and Trevor Bailey making 64, got a valuable first-innings lead of 31. Then the Surrey spinners Tony Locke and Jim Laker began to get on top.
The Australians opened their second innings on a powdery pitch. Spin bowler Laker dismisses Hassett for 10. It's Laker again, and this time the victim is Hole. "59 for 2, and now it's Locke's turn to Harvey. And he's got him for 1. It's the beginning of the great collapse.
Locke took 5 wickets, Laker 4, and the collapse left England with only 132 to win. Appropriately, it was the 2 post-war heroes, Bill Edrich and Dennis Compton, who were batting as the victory came nearer.
And 4 runs needed. Now, will this be got in 1 stroke? Or 4 runs to get. No, is it the Ashes? Yes, England have won the Ashes.
Here indeed was cause to celebrate. The Ashes back and a vintage England team. Hutton, Edrich, May, Compton, Graveney, Bailey, Evans, Truman, Bedser, Locke, and Jim Laker, for whom a greater personal triumph lay ahead in the Old Trafford Test of 1956.
84 for 9, with Laker bowling himself into cricket history. And he makes sure of it by bowling Ian Johnson, and so takes 9 wickets for 37 runs, something no Englishman has ever done before against Australia. And as Australia follow on, Laker is at it again. Once more, it's Harvey, bowled Laker. Next day, during a brief spell of play, it's Burke, bowled Laker. Laker to Burke. Caught by Locke. Rain robs Laker of further glory, but on the last day he's back, and Craig's out. Bold Laker.
Yes, I should think so. Yes.
Now comes the breakthrough. Mackay has caught Oakman. Bold Laker.
Oakman.
Next to go is Keith Miller. Out for a duck. Bold Laker.
And he bowled.
Victim number 6 is Archer. Caught Oakman. Bold Laker.
Oakman.
All this time, McDonald is batting well. But when he's hit 89, he too becomes Bold Laker. 7 wickets so far to Laker. And now it's Benno. Bold Laker.
He bowled him.
198 for 8. And all 8 Bold Laker. And 20 minutes later, Linville too falls to the leg trap. Bold Laker.
He caught him, is he? Is he out? No. Yes, he's out. He's given out, waiting for the appeal.
Can Laker get all 10? That's the question everyone's asking as he bowls to Maddox.
He's out. 10 wickets to Laker.
That amazing, indeed unique achievement left a big impression on many people, not least England's captain in the first test at Perth on Friday, Bob Willis. When did he first become aware of the Ashes?
In about 1956, where I was a 7-year-old, we'd just moved down from Manchester to Surrey, and I was aware that England were playing for them, and there was a rather memorable match at Old Trafford near where we used to live. So it was at quite an early age that I realised that England and Australia did play for something called the Ashes.
And were you one of those millions of schoolboys who sort of played in the garden, England v Australia?
Oh, very much so. I've got an elder brother, and we used to pretend to be the stars of yesteryear in the back garden, but in 1970 a fairy tale came true, and I found myself playing with some of these people we'd been pretending to be in the back garden a few years before.
There was some fiery bowling in that series too, and the young Willis played his part, although the bowling hero this time was John Snow, who made himself unpopular by hitting Terry Jenner with a bouncer. Umpire Lou Rowan said he was bowling too many of them. England's captain Ray Illingworth begged to differ, and then bottles were thrown into the outfield. Snow was harassed by spectators, showing great forbearance under this provocation. But Illingworth, always a decisive man, led his team off the field, a gesture some observers thought unnecessary. In the same final test of the 70-71 series, Snow, after bowling only 7 second innings overs, jammed his hand against the boundary fence, chasing a catch off Peter Lever. He went off with a broken hand, a painful blow for Snow and a bad one for England, with Australia needing only 223 runs to win. Now it was up to the faithful Basil d'Oliveira and the spinners Illingworth and Underwood.
Bowling. Shooting right across that one, and he is out. Bowled Underwood for 16.
Now Illingworth to Greg Chappell. Stumped. He's out. Yes. Well bowled Illingworth. Chappell stumped. Not. Bowled Illingworth 30. O'Keefe not out one. Australia 7 for 142, and Illingworth has 3 for 28.
D'Oliveira to O'Keefe. Could be out caught. Yes. O'Keefe is out. Caught at backward square by Shuttleworth. Australia 8 for 154. It's D'Oliveira bowling to Lillee. He's out caught. Lillee staying there. Yes, he's out. Lillee not at all happy with that either, it appears. In fact, he's looking at the fieldsman as he goes out.
Jenner facing Underwood. And that's it. Yes, he's out. That's the end of the match.
Bob Willis, the junior member of that team, hardly imagined that he would be returning 12 years later as England captain.
No, I didn't think about that in my wildest dreams, no.
You've been, I think, on 4 major tours before this one to Australia. What are the lessons you've learned from bowling out there?
Well, apart from it being very hard work on hard pitches, I think that fitness is of paramount importance. Unfortunately, I got injured on the 74-5 tour.
That was a miserable series for England in 74-75. Lillee was at his best with a new partner in Jeff Thompson, who bowled with devastating pace, as quick in that one season certainly as any man before or since. The close catching by Australia was superb, and for the main England batsmen, Edrich, Amis, Fletcher, Luckhurst, Lloyd, the captain Dines, and the veteran Cowdrey, it was one long nightmare. Jeff Boycott missed that tour, but at Headingley in 1977, he was back to enjoy his finest hour.
That's it. That's a half volley through mid-on for 4. The bat goes in the air. The England players come out to applaud what really has got to be a moment here of cricket history. Jeffrey Boycott, 100 hundreds and the place to get it in the middle of a test match against Australia on his home ground at Headingley.
1977 was also the year that many of the world's best players were willingly adopted by a sugar daddy in the ambitious television magnate Kerry Packer. World Series cricket arrived, bringing with it some bad developments, but also the excitement of night cricket, watched by a rowdy but enthusiastic young audience. 4 years ago, England, losing fewer players to WSC than Australia, won the Ashes series 5-1 under Mike Brearley.
Sharply from this end, he'll bowl to Brearley. 1 for 31, 34 required. And lofted over the high over this could be the winning hit, and out to the boundary it goes, and Mike Brearley has made the winning hit. It's all over.
Brearley's many triumphs are already history now, and it's Bob Willis's turn to defend the Ashes after a successful start to his captaincy against India and Pakistan last summer.
Well, it went pretty well. The results were mostly in our favour, and I think one important factor was that we went into all but one of the test matches with 5 bowlers, whereas previous campaigns we'd been going in with 4 strike bowlers. But I think with the over rate going up to 16 an hour, it's vitally important to try and get 5 bowlers into the side, and I think that took a little bit of the pressure off me as a strike bowler, and I very much want to use Ian Botham in that regard as well, so hopefully we won't have to bowl 30 overs a day.
Hold him. He's out. LBW.
And he's bowled him, and that surely is going to be it. That's it this time. He's made sure he's taken 5 wickets. He grabs the stump, and another memorable victory for England.
And finally, Bob, you must be tremendously looking forward to what I suppose is the summit of your career to date, anyway.
Yes, it's obviously a great thrill, something I never expected in my lifetime. There are some of the Australians who are stretching their careers out to have one last go at the Pom, so it promises to be a great test match series.
Great it will be if it's anything like the 1981 series, which came so dramatically to life at Headingley thanks to Ian Botham and Willis himself.
He's got a touch on it, he's gone. In the air, Dilly's underneath it. And he's got it! Yes, he's got a touch and he's gone. Willis has taken his 6th wicket. Oh, what a good catch.
Bowl him, it's all over, and it is one of the most fantastic victories ever known in Test cricket history.
We could do with more like that from Willis in Australia. So a marvellous 8 weeks, 5 tests to look forward to, and you'll be able to see the highlights every day in every test here on